A little bit different on this video, different content. We're going to the county fair, but it's not for what you might think. I'm not going to show any fruit, no vegetables, no bottled anything of any kind. I'm going to enter a few items that after going to the county fair, my family and some friends said, "Joe, you really need to enter. This is something you could do really well in." And before that, I had never given it any thought. So I have some furniture that I've made that I'm going to enter this year. As you might know, or if you don't know, I don't just farm. I have a full-time job. I teach, and I teach shop class. And so my whole life, I've made furniture. My start came from my high school experience with my own education, and I had a great shop teacher, and it just took off from there. So I enjoy teaching what I teach, and I also enjoy making furniture at times right alongside with my students. And as a hobby, things that I enjoy doing is making furniture for my own house. And so there's certain styles that I like that I fell in love with a long, long time ago. And I love colonial furniture. Furniture from the 1700s, early 1800s. I enjoy shaker furniture as well. So that's kind of the collection that I have in my home. And by the way, in another episode, I think I might have mentioned with the house in the background that my wife and kids and I built this house together as a family. And so it's kind of a lifelong dream to eventually one day have it filled with furniture that I made, and heirloom furniture that can be passed on, not store-bought stuff and stuff that falls apart. So anyway, what I'm sitting in right now, this is called a Windsor settee, or settee, however you want to pronounce it, and it's spelled S-E-T-T-E-E. I've made Windsor chairs a couple before, and I have a book that I have right here. This is something that I've read and highlighted and underlined. It's an excellent book. It's called The Windsor Style in America, and in it talks about, it actually has photographs of actual historical furniture, Windsor chairs, that date back to the 1600s, and they're still good quality that you can actually still sit in. They've been taken care of. But there was something that caught my eye. Well, this is what got me wanting to make a Windsor chair, and so I made two of them. The original plan was to make a whole dining set, but being a first-timer making Windsor chairs, that was pretty overwhelming. They're not easy at all to make. It's a different animal to tackle than cabinetry and casework, building drawers and bookcases and things. Totally different experience. So it was challenging, and I enjoyed it. So I made two of them and kind of put that off for a while. I thought, I'm not making any more, even though they're pretty and they're really comfortable. But I came across a picture in a magazine that I hung on to, and when I saw it, I thought, I am going to make that. And I'll show it to you. This picture right here. When I saw that, I thought, wow, that's really cool. I've got to make that, and that's got to go in my house. And so I didn't have any drawings or plans for it, but somebody I had corresponded with that's a professional chair maker of Windsor chairs, who, and this is a shout out to him, Curtis Buchanan. He lives in the southern part of the United States, and he sells his drawings. He has them professionally made up. He's got excellent videos, and I've probably watched his videos probably 400 times, you know, trying to make them and having to go back and learn about it and then go into my shop and where I got hung up on something and then proceeded. But anyway, Curtis Buchanan. So I bought numerous sets of plans: rocking chairs, Windsor chairs, fan back chairs, and comb back chairs. This one happens to be a comb back settee, and I couldn't find any plans for a settee. So what I did is I took one of Curtis's drawings. Here's a set of blueprints for a single chair, and all I did, let me set this down. All I did was split the chair in the middle, extend it out, and just build it. So all I had to do is figure out, well, okay, how wide would a seat need to be to comfortably sit 3 people? And so my wife and I, we kind of moved some benches around and figured out what a comfortable length was and came up with it. And so I made this. And I'll include in this video some snapshots that I have of the process. So let me kind of talk about this a little bit. Some of you might find this interesting. The finish on this is a milk paint finish, which is a traditional finish for this style. And so because it's a painted finish, you can use multiple different species of wood. So as a matter of fact, there are 3 different kinds of wood in this chair, this bench. The crest rail right here, this is oak. And the reason why this is oak, as well as the spindles, is because they can be steam bent really easy. They take the shape better than other woods. And so that's why this is oak. This is steam bent right here and put into a form to hold that shape, and then taken out and shaped with hand tools to give it this beveled edge, and these are hand carved volutes and things. The spindles are oak, and these are made on the wood lathe. Each one was individually made by me on the wood lathe. This armrest rail right here is also oak, and it's steam bent and then hand carved for the knuckles. The seat is, on this particular one, this is poplar, and it's a 2-inch thick slab of poplar. The legs are also turned on the lathe, and they are hard maple. The purpose of the seat being poplar is you can carve it and sculpt it. You could use pine or poplar. I chose poplar because it's stronger than pine. And the wood grain is tight. It's not an open grain. Takes the paint really well. The legs being maple, and this spindle right here as well, this is maple, for the hardness. They need the strength so that they don't break from sitting on them. They carve well on the lathe. So anyway, that's why there's 3 different types of wood. It was quite a process of hand carving and machining on the lathe and assembling, and there are no mechanical fasteners on this project, meaning there's no nails, no screws. Everything is a tight wedged fit. And also, if this spindle goes all the way through, but imagine underneath, well, right here I can kind of see where the top of this leg comes through the seat. And when that comes through, that's split, and then there's a oak wedge in there, so it opens up that leg, and it is a solid fit. And so hopefully with some care, this could last literally generations. As I mentioned in that book, there's some chairs that are still in museums or people's living rooms that are 200 plus years old. and some go back to the 1600s, so over 300 years old. So anyway, they're beautiful furniture and super comfortable. They fit your seat really good. They hug your back. Really pretty, elegant too. So anyway, this is one of the pieces of furniture that I'm going to put into the county fair. And I've got a couple more, so I'm going to show you some of those. Okay, here's another piece of furniture that hangs on the wall in my bedroom. This is a clock this is made of mahogany, and the stringing or the inlay is made of various types of kind of exotic wood. And I can't remember the names of all of them, but this was, the crown molding was made on the table saw by going diagonally across the table saw blade to give it this cove shape. And in the back there's the motor to the clock, so it can, and it's recessed in so it can sit flush against the wall. But I just kind of wanted to show you how this was made, because it wasn't easy. This was all done with hand tools, no routers, no machines, all hand tools. And so the stringing, I have the tools right here by me. I have to be careful because they're sharp and I don't want to scratch the bench, but this is a piece of the veneer, and I'll hold it up here for you. It's not very big at all, and it's very thin. No, there's the face of it, and there's the thickness of it. And this is actually a lot thicker than what's in here. But to make the veneer, you can get different types of wood that comes in very thin sheets, small sheets. And the first thing you'll need to do, besides slicing it up, there's different ways you could do it. Now I have different machinery available to me for doing sheet metal and things, so what works well is slicing up that sheet in a sheet metal press brake to slice sheet metal, but it does great with this. So to do this outline, I use this tool right here that can be set to whatever width I want, and this is for doing edges, and you can scratch that in, and then you can glue the veneer in, press it in, tap it in lightly, let the glue dry, and then scrape it down. To do the ovals, you work off of a center, and so right in the center where the clock was, this is a compass cutter, and I can set the diameter to whatever I set the radius to whatever radius I want, lock it in, and then scratch that in. There's a very sharp blade on this, and so you can go around scratching it in, and there's pivot points all throughout this for scratching in the oval inlays. And to do what's called the berries, these wood plugs of various colors, you drill those out, and then so it makes a hole. Then you have a plug cutter at the drill press and make these little individual plugs, and you pop them out with a screwdriver. They're a tapered plug. Put a dab of glue in, tap them in, and then carve it down, make it flush. So I've simplified it, but there's a lot more to this than that. But anyway, pretty work of art. The background of this, where it comes from, is spice boxes back in colonial times. The design, it was typically a 4-pointed or an 8-pointed compass. But I thought, well, I like that style. How can I incorporate that into a clock? And so I just came up with how many degrees I needed for each hour in the clock for 12 hours, and made that my reference, and so it's a 12-pointed. So anyway, this is going to be entered in the county fair as well on display. So Okay, finally, the last pieces of furniture that I have is a matching set of end tables or side tables, kind of a his and hers. So this one is mine. These are solid walnut, and the drawers that are in them are hand cut, dovetails, joinery. The legs were turned on the wood lathe, and on these, the drawers are able to open. And something that I do with my furniture, I'll show you. You see right there. I brand all of my furniture. My wife got me that for Christmas or a birthday. Can't remember, quite a few years ago. So all of my furniture I brand, just to show it was made by me. This one I really like. I made this for my wife. She's pretty crafty. She loves to paint, and she likes to sew and knit and crochet and all. I'm going to add all of those because I always say crochet as a blanket term, and I get corrected. It's knitting, or it's crocheting, or it's needlepoint, or I say that in fun, but she's great. So anyway, the legs on this were also turned on the lathe. What's unique about this, these are false drawer fronts. They do not slide out. This is a solid chest in the middle for all of my wife's crafting supplies, having to do with knitting, crocheting, needlepoint, cross-stitching. Anyway, the lid comes up, and her scissors and things can be right here in this box. And if she wants something below there, that will slide out of the way, and she can get materials or yarn or whatever she needs down below. This one also flips up, and once again, you can slide that out of the way and get your supplies. Of course, they both flip up, and this does come out. The box is solid walnut, and this entire cabinet is solid walnut because everything is visible, and so I wanted it all to be walnut with what's shown. So the box has hand-cut dovetail on it, and it has a clear lacquer finish on it. Like I mentioned before, the bench is hand-painted with milk paint. These are no stain, just clear lacquer finish on this, as well as the clock, just a clear lacquer finish. What's cool about this, though, is, again, I like to build heirloom furniture that will last for generations, and so the joinery has to hold up. There are no nails or screws holding the legs. Everything is mortise and tenon, meaning you have a socket that other parts fit into tightly. But in this case, it's a sliding dovetail, which I'll show you in a second. This one, however, it's not, everything that you see on the outside is solid walnut, but the drawers are made of poplar. And behind the face of the cabinet, all of that back there is poplar as well, but everything's premium joinery, so there's no mechanical fasteners, nothing that's going to fall apart and break. So anyway, let me pick the camera up and show you what I mean by the sliding dovetail. So here's that example of a sliding dovetail that I wanted to show you. This goes all the way down the length of the leg, and it fits into that slot and it's glued in. So it's locked in, that leg can't pull away, and it allows room for the wood to expand and contract with the seasonal changes in moisture, so that it has room to do that without cracking. So what I want to do is show you a close-up of the clock so that you can see the inlay and kind of the berries. This is called line and berry, and it's a type of inlay. It's traditional, like I mentioned, from colonial times. But anyway, so those are some of the items that I'm going to show at the county fair. So in the morning, I'll pack them up and haul them down, and I'll get some footage there, setting it up. And then after that, we'll see what happens with the judging.